Today, we're jumping headfirst into a confrontation that is brutal, calculated, and deeply, deeply personal. This is a story that makes you wonder what happens when a wizard's power clashes with a supervillain's control, and the only justice that matters is the one you deliver yourself. This one chilling line. It's the final verdict delivered during a rooftop execution. That's not a hero's catchphrase, it's a protector's promise. But to really understand the sentence, we've got to know who delivered it. So yeah, who is this kid, and what could possibly push someone to just execute a supervillain in cold blood? These are the big questions we're digging into today, as we piece together the story of a high school student who is way more than he seems. To get why he did what he did, you have to understand his backstory. And I don't just mean his past, I mean his past life. Trust me, this is not your typical teenager. Okay, so here's the deal. Our guy, who now goes by Sebastian Shaw, used to be a wizard named Alex. And not just any wizard. He fought and died in the war against Voldemort. Now, bam, he's been reborn right into the Marvel universe. He's got all his memories and his powerful soul, but he's basically starting from square one in a world that is definitely not Hogwarts. Now, because his soul is so powerful, his magic is growing super fast. But he's still a beginner. And his biggest problem? No wand. He's forced to rely on wandless magic, which is notoriously difficult and pretty imprecise. But his greatest strength, and maybe his greatest vulnerability, is his new mother, Alicia. See, he's not an orphan anymore, and he will do anything to keep her safe. And that fierce protectiveness, it's about to be put to the ultimate test, because a uniquely terrifying villain has just stumbled into his mother's life. And that means he's stumbled right into Sebastian's. Let's talk about the villain. This is Kilgrave, aka the Purple Man. His power is absolute mind control. Through these airborne pheromones, whatever he says, you have to do. He doesn't need to lift a finger, he just tells you to stop fighting, and you will. He's the ultimate predator. But Sebastian has an ace up his sleeve, something he brought with him from his old life, a clemency. For you Potter fans, you know it's used to block mind readers. But here, he uses it to build a fortress around his mind, sealing it completely. And that makes him one of the very few people on the entire planet who is totally immune to Kilgrave's power. And that immunity becomes absolutely critical the second he shows up at his mom's restaurant. The doorman is acting like, well, an emotionless puppet. Major red flag. So he uses a little unlocking charm, slips in the back, and finds his absolute worst fear has come true. His mom, Alicia, is under Kilgrave's spell. And right then and there, he makes a cold, hard decision. He's got to knock her out to keep her safe, and then he's going to eliminate the threat, permanently. What happens next isn't some panicked reaction. It's a straight-up assault. Sebastian throws on a chef's uniform and walks right into the lion's den. He gets to the table, and Kilgrave casually tells him to leave. Sebastian just ignores him and strikes. His hand clamps right around Kilgrave's throat, cutting off his voice, his power. Kilgrave, totally panicking, pulls a pistol and fires. It forces Sebastian to loosen his grip, just enough for Kilgrave to gasp out one single command. Kill him. And the woman with him, Jessica, just explodes into action. And it is just total chaos. Jessica lunges with superhuman strength, her punch literally cratering the floor where Sebastian was standing a second ago. But Sebastian isn't fighting with fists. He whispers, Wingardium Leviosa, and boom. Jessica gets launched right through the front window. He does it again, this time on Kilgrave, slamming him into the ceiling. But Jessica is tough. She bursts right back in, grabs the wounded Kilgrave, and they're gone, up onto the rooftops. But this fight is far from over. For Sebastian, there is no way he's letting Kilgrave get away. The threat to his mother is just too real. The chase is on. He uses a levitation charm on himself and takes off after them. But you can really see how much he needs a wand here. His spells are flying wild. He tries to cast Petrificus Totalis twice and misses, hitting a building and then, hilariously, a random pigeon. Realizing he can't aim for crap, he gets creative. He spots a construction crane up ahead, and with another Wingardium Leviosa, he swings a massive steel beam right into their path. The collision is just devastating. So they're battered, broken, and crashed onto the rooftop. The chase is over, and now it's time for the verdict. Sebastian lands, and he sees Jessica already trying to get up. He doesn't hesitate for a second. Another spell, Petrificus Totalis, the full body bind, and she's frozen solid. No more interruptions. Kilgrave, he's broken, crawling on the ground, and he tries one last desperate move, a psychological jab. He starts taunting Sebastian, trying to say they're the same, that Sebastian is just another monster trying to kill him.
But Sebastian doesn't even engage. He just shuts it down completely. This was never about being a hero. It wasn't about justice. This was about a threat to his family and the need for its total, absolute elimination. Period.
And then he carries out the sentence with this chilling precision. One last Wingardium Leviosa. He lifts Kilgrave up into the sky until he's just this tiny black dot. Then, a simple snap of his fingers. The spell breaks, and so does Kilgrave. See, this wasn't a crime of passion. This was an assassination, and he's got a plan. He releases Jessica, vanishes off the roof, changes his clothes, and heads right back to the restaurant to erase every single trace that he was ever there, deletes the surveillance footage, takes the master tape, makes sure his mom is safe, and then just melts back into the night like a ghost. So the last thing we see is Sebastian back at home, checking his online shopping cart. What's in it? Wood, feathers, and snake specimens. All the raw materials for a proper wand. You see, this first real fight in this new world taught him a brutal lesson. Being unprepared can be fatal. And as he starts to arm himself, you have to ask, what kind of path is he starting down? Is this the birth of some new kind of hero or something much, much darker?